top shelf. I must have missed it.
Yeah. She's good at finding those.
Yeah.
Usually just the expensive ones, but
That's what happens when they go unattended, right?
right.
Yeah.
That's
No
for
chaperone.
sure.
You get what you get. You don't have to go, but you also are, whatever the cost is what the cost is. You have no say so because you didn't have to go. So it works out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This should drive the viewers. All right, here we go.
Yeah. It's all right to laugh on the intro.
You got to.
It was Texas, it was Tennessee. It was what I had coming to me. You were unlike anything before.
All righty, welcome in, folks. You have arrived at the Texas to Tennessee podcast. My name is Steve. To my upper left is our friend Soul Gravy, and tonight we are super excited to have Alex Rogers, all the way from South Carolina, joining us. So welcome in, Alex.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys for having me.
Yeah, super fired up to get to chat and learn a little bit more about you. You know, I generally take pride in knowing about new stuff, and I had a friend send me your info, and I'd never heard you before, and I'm like, where you been hiding this guy? So I definitely have a bunch of questions for you, but maybe to get started, do you mind taking a couple minutes and just telling us a little bit about your backstory?
Yeah, for sure. So I grew up in South Carolina, a small town called Loris, just outside of like North Myrtle Beach area, so coastal South Carolina. I now live in the Panhandle of Florida, so Northwest Florida. So I'm actually smack dab between Texas and Tennessee.
Perfect.
If you want to look at it like that. So, but yeah, I grew up like playing in church. I'm sure you guys hear that a lot. I feel like that, or at least it used to be a pretty common path to finding out, you wanted to kind of pursue music. I will say I'm kind of doing this a little backwards than the average guy. So I went to college, did the whole corporate job deal, married, have a child, all of that, and have just recently, so I guess I should say all through that time period, I was like in bands. I lived in Atlanta for a 5-year stretch. I was in a band there. We released 2 albums, and then just have always played music, but never like really went for it, at least from like a solo perspective. But yeah, over the last 4 or 5 years, I've kind of like dove into it, a lot more and started writing. I've always written, but like really started writing and kind of honing that side of it. But yeah, that's in a nutshell me.
Nice. Okay. Well, sorry about the, I guess I will say it was a little bit challenging trying to get specifics on, well, let me just back up here. We play a game in every podcast where I quiz my friend Soul Gravy over here on your hometown and famous people from your hometown. I spent a good 45 minutes trying to figure out exactly where you were from. And I figured out South Carolina, but that was about the extent of it. So,
Darius Rucker.
Yeah, hold on.
Okay.
I'll take him off the list. So, Alex, if you can bear with us here for the first few minutes, we're going to play a little game. And Soul, I'm going to identify a famous person from South Carolina.
Okay.
And Soul has to tell us why they're famous.
Okay.
All right. 8th state. The great state of South Carolina was the eighth state admitted, known for Southern charm, coastal cities, and hospitality. 3 good things to be known for.
Okay.
All right. First person is Bill Anderson.
Does he whisper?
Yes.
Okay, then that would, yes, I'm familiar with Whispering Bill Anderson. Yeah.
All right. Jeezy.
Is he? I believe I know who this is. Yes.
Yeah, Jeezy's a rapper for sure. Air Force Ones was a big hit of his, I believe. James Brown.
Yeah, I'm familiar with.
All right. Also
with
from
Brown.
Great state of South Carolina.
He's a doctor, right?
He might be. I mean, there's a decent chance there's a James Brown, Dr. James Brown in South Carolina. Lauren Hutton. This one's a little harder.
No, not familiar.
Famous actress. She was in the movie. I can't remember, but she was in like some old timey movies. Sorry if the Hutton family is watching, but she's a little bit older. Kevin Garnett.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the Big Ticket, right? I think that was his
The Big
nickname.
Ticket. That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. Aziz Ansari.
Not
He's a
familiar.
comedian. Very funny comedian.
Okay, I've probably seen his work.
We're in that same ballpark. A gentleman by the name of Chris Rock.
Familiar
Yeah.
with Chris Rock. Yeah.
I picked those off right next to each other. All right, here's one.
Okay.
I think you'll get this. Dustin Johnson.
Yeah, I know the name, but I don't know why I know the name. Oh, he's a golfer.
He's a very good golfer.
That's right.
One of the best. Hits a ball an absolute mile. Ben Bernanke.
Not familiar, I don't think.
Test your current events knowledge. Ben was the chairman of the Federal Reserve at some point. And I think he was chairman when we had the 2008 drama.
I was just about to say a bass player, so you know.
It was close. How about the Big Show?
Yeah, I'm familiar with the Big Show.
The Big Show? A little
Paul
wrestler.
something. What is his Paul something?
I'm not sure what his
Anyway.
name is. I like to refer to him just as the Big
Okay.
Show.
Well, I get to quiz you. What is his last name? What is
I don't know.
okay.
That's not how this works, Soul Gravy.
Crap.
Stephen Colbert,
Yeah, I'm familiar with his work. Yes.
a little late night TV
Late
show.
night. Mhm.
Joe Frazier,
The boxer.
Smoking Joe.
Okay.
Everybody knows him as being a Philly guy, but he actually was born in South Carolina. So
Okay.
shout out to Joe, world champion. Vanna White,
Not familiar with most famous letter turner ever.
strong. Darius Rucker, I gave you that one. The last three are a little bit harder. One of them's pretty easy. Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Yeah, he's a baseball player.
Yeah. The Black Sox
The
was
Black
part of
Sox,
that.
right.
Yeah, sadly. John Edwards.
That was a politician, right?
Yeah. He got in a little bit of hot water at some point.
Uh-huh.
And then last but not least, Althea Gibson.
I don't think I'm familiar with Althea. Love that name though.
Althea was the first African American to win Wimbledon. So
Okay.
she's quite a tennis player. Thanks, Alex. Thanks for letting us do that.
So the
Yeah, I
chat
just
said,
learned so much.
Hey, shout out to South Carolina.
Yeah.
It's a good thing you didn't know my hometown. I can't think of. I don't know
Well,
if there's anybody famous from.
There actually is somebody super famous from your hometown, and his name is hold on, Robert H. Brooks.
Okay, I'm very good friends with his great grandson, so I didn't know if he counted as famous or not.
That's famous. That's famous. He
Yeah.
had a chain of restaurants famous for chicken wings.
Okay.
And yeah, like you've heard of it.
Okay. Okay.
Think of the owl. If that helps.
Orange.
Yeah,
Okay,
Orange.
okay,
The
okay,
owl.
okay.
Sponsor NASCAR from time to time.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm
Had an
picking up-
airline
picking
for a
up.
spell.
Yeah, right. All right.
The chat says that the Big Show's name is Paul Wright, the second.
I know why he went with the Big Show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Shout out to Paul. All right, Alex, this is the maybe the oddest question I'll ask tonight, but it helps kind of at least me wrap my head around your music a little bit and kind of how you operate. So we call this the pie question. I'm going to give you a pie. You get to choose whatever kind you want. And then we're going to ask you to divide it into 4 sections. So the 4 sections are as it relates to the music business, the creation of the music, so the songwriting, recording of the music, getting it to where it needs to go, the performing of the music, and then the 4th piece would be the business. So everything else that is not creating making, playing the music, but all the other stuff. Where do you naturally
Sure.
gravitate in terms of those four areas?
Okay. Uh, I'm torn. I would say naturally gravitate towards performing because, sorry, performing, writing, recording, business.
Yeah, in the business. Yeah.
Okay. Y- Yeah, cool. So the only reason I say that is because I don't think I would have pursued writing had I not performed first, if that makes sense. Like that's
Sure.
kind of what drove it. Um, so yeah, we'll go performance first, writing
Yep.
second, recording third, probably. I mean, I don't know. They're all kind of interwoven, obviously, but just from like a technical perspective, I'm kind of not that guy. I know what I want to hear and what I don't want to hear, and when it comes
Sure.
to my music, but I rely on other folks to kind of like hone that kind of stuff in. Um, so it's not like a huge part of my thought process
Gotcha.
until I get in there. If that makes sense. Um, and then yeah, business would be last, I suppose. I do think I have kind of business acumen, but I'm kind of I'm in the midst of learning that it's all business logic doesn't necessarily apply to the music industry. So
100%.
Right.
doesn't yeah it doesn't really matter how sharp you are in other industries. So
Gotcha.
that'll be my answer.
Okay, cool. And did you know, I guess relatively early on the performance side, did you kind of get bit by the bug, or you're like, man, this is where I feel at home. This is where I want to be.
Yeah, totally. Um, back to church because that's like just truly the first time I ever had a guitar and sang in front of you know, more than 50 people or whatever it was. And that's the first time you could kind of tell that what you're doing is having a direct impact. Um, there's just a face-to-face interaction, particularly in a church. People are feeling feelings, but you're obviously helping them get to wherever they're going. So yes, 100%. That after that, I was like, I want to do this and I can do this. So yeah, I just kept it rocking.
Yeah, and I think everybody's got a different perspective on that, but I know for a lot of folks, the performance kind of sometimes feels like the payoff or the reward after doing all the other things
Totally.
that get you to that space. Does that feel that way
Totally.
for you? Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, for sure.
All right, and then in terms of just to touch a little bit on the writing side of it, are you a solo writer? Do you prefer to kind of collaborate? What's your what's your process? Is it melody first, or I don't know? Everybody's got kind of a unique process, so just curious about yours.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll start with my process. I haven't even like nailed it down to calling it a process as of yet, but so I'd say like I definitely start with like phrases or even like single words that I like or that just strike me in a way that I'm like I can expand upon this for sure, like to the nth degree. I can just keep it going lyrically. Um, and I sort of do that. I was actually just talking to, I got I played in the 38 Songwriters Fest down here, and I got the opportunity to meet Adam Hood and write a song with him.
Oh, very cool.
And we were kind of talking about this. It's the only reason I was thinking about it. But yeah, I was like, yeah, a lot of times I'll be on long road trips and I'll like get to where I'm going and I'll have written a song, the lyrics, but have no idea kind of what the music is with it. So I kind of reverse engineer it oftentimes, but that's probably 8 times out of 10. And then there are the times where I'm like, playing a riff or whatever, and something just, matches that riff or the feeling of that. So I do both ways, I'd say, but more often than not, I'm like lyric first, or at least like concept first, and then kind of expand from there. Uh, kind of long-winded answer, but when
No,
it
that's
comes to
good.
like writing alone, so this my EP that's coming out kind of in singles at the moment. I wrote all of those by myself, and that's kind of how I wanted to start out in terms of like solo career, is like introducing myself to the world, like my own voice, just me. But over the last year and a half, 2 years or so, I've kind of started diving into the co-writing, which I enjoy just as much, if not more. It just kind of depends, but I definitely wanted to start out to where I knew I could write a song by myself.
That makes
Um,
sense. Usually we don't.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
Usually we don't get to a mention of Adam Hood until the first 25 minutes, but we made it all of 14 minutes before
Oh
getting the
yeah.
Adam Hood mention.
This
So
is this is
Yeah.
it's
no
like
joke.
he
No
planted
joke
it.
on this. No joke on this. When I was listening to your music the first time, I really thought about texting Adam and be like, I think you guys would like it. Like I know, I wasn't gonna do it because I didn't want to bug anybody. But like immediately when I was listening to your music, I was thinking like a duet with Adam Hood would be amazing with you two. I mean, I'm not even like
Yeah.
I'm not blowing smoke. Like that was immediate. That's what popped in my head because of the
Yeah,
style
that's
of your
amazing.
songs. And
Well,
then you're like,
Yeah,
then of course the 7 degrees of Adam Hood comes up on the podcast at all
yeah.
times.
of
So.
course. Yeah.
I, I think Soul Gravy and I maybe initially connected
Hmm.
over Adam Hood music. So he
I
was one
think
of our
so.
first guests that we had. So he comes up
Oh, very
pretty
cool.
frequently, even though we don't prompt it. But once the
Yeah.
door's open, we'll walk right through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
Well, I sort of had a feeling that he was a friend of the pod, so
Yeah,
it
cool.
did we did have that conversation like almost verbatim. So I was like, let me just regurgitate that because I enjoyed that one.
Nice, nice.
Very cool. Very cool. Man, so I just want to point out to the folks, like, and I don't like Alex really is as far as this Spotify releasing his own music stuff, as far as putting his stuff out there. He's really just getting rolling with all of this, and he's got 2 songs on that I've seen on Spotify. And he's got almost 8,000 monthly listeners, which may not sound like a lot, but in a lot of cases, like that's in a year,
Well,
that's pretty
no,
good. That's
Well,
good numbers as
in
far as
like 60
that's concerned.
days, right?
yeah, the first one I released on October 18th, and the
Okay,
Okay.
the
that's
second one
insane.
was like December or something.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay.
when
I was
Yeah,
kind of browsing and I saw
yeah,
2024. That was,
yeah,
but
yeah,
so when I initially when we connected, I pulled it up and I think I was number 200, and I'm like, oh man, I'm fired up. I get to
mhm.
be in the cool kids club,
yeah,
right away.
yeah. There you
So I
go.
just looked it up when you said that, and I'm like, no way. So that's amazing. Congrats on that.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, they've been received well thus far, so
How,
very appreciative of that.
I mean, how have you gotten that music out there for people to pick it up like that? Has it just kind of been an organic thing? I mean, it's I guess kind of shine some light on that part of it, or do you know?
Yeah, I sort of know. I mean, I don't really know. To the
Okay.
extent of kind of what the numbers are reflecting, because I myself was very surprised, specifically Hand Me Down, because I mean, it literally came out December 27th or something. So
And it has almost
yeah, I
11,000
think,
streams just on Spotify.
yeah,
That's wild.
yeah. It just really kind of. I'm assuming that it's resonating with people in one way or another. I have been pushing it a good bit on, socials and things of that nature. Um, I did get a really cool, I think the visualizer that I got made
Yeah.
for it, and kind of like, not to use visualize again, but sort of thought through, because it's a pretty lyrically heavy song, and it just made a lot of sense for me to for people to be able to read it as well as hear it, simultaneously. Um, so that, I think, I mean, that's getting a lot of great traction on the socials as well. So that could have a lot to do with it. And then, playlists as well. I've just kind of started picking me up, and some blog posts and things of that nature. So I don't know. It's just kind of spider webby things happening.
Yeah, that's great because the opposite is cricket. So
Yes.
yeah,
Right.
congratulations on all. And the video is really cool. I was going to bring that up if you want to talk
I
about that a
appreciate
little
it.
bit more. But if for someone that hasn't seen it yet, it's a very creative video that you have out. I saw it on Instagram, so I don't know where
Yeah.
all that you have it posted, but definitely go check that out. Like I said, it's just it's you just kind of have to. It's very artistic. I mean, it's very very creative. So you just go check it out and go watch it if and leave some comments down on the video too, and share it with
Yeah,
Oh,
for
friends.
sure. And
Uh,
I'll shout out the guy who made it. I don't even know the name of the application or whatever he's using to do that. Um, but it was so cool. I was like, I have to have one of these. His name's Paul Rivera. I think his handle is Rain Cloud Stories on TikTok and Instagram and all the things. Um, but super great guy, and was like very quick turnaround, and fully understood kind of what I was trying to capture with it. So yeah, I just wanted to shout him out. I'm afraid people
yeah,
are thinking that like I made the video and I'm some sort of crazy artist, so
savant.
I don't
Yeah.
want I don't want that to keep going on. So
well, part of that business pie that we were that Steve was talking about is knowing who to talk to and who to get to do what,
right.
So
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
important.
I guess that's true.
mhm.
Yeah, I've actually seen it. I think I saw it on a Coulter Wall tune, and it might have been one of his that he did just on his own
Yeah, it could have been.
and layered in. And I was like, "Holy, this is amazing!" Like
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
brain wasn't quite ready to receive it, but it was that cool. So yeah,
Yeah,
good choice on
totally.
that.
Yeah, and
I
with
appreciate
like you said,
it.
the lyrics on it, having the words in the video as well is a great touch. So.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, appreciate that.
So as far as your sound, I know it's kind of a generic question, but you got a very soulful sound in general. What was the music in the household besides playing in church? What was some the music that you grew up around? Just I wasn't. I know that's kind of a generic question, but with your style, I kind of I want to know.
Yeah, totally. The short answer would be like you name it. We were
Okay.
kind of listening to all sorts of stuff, but my dad was a guitar player himself. Completely by ear. So unfortunately for me, he was a horrific teacher. He would just be like, "Do this," I'd be like, "All right, great." Um, so theory was not ever brought into play for either of us. But anyway, he huge Allman Brothers fan, like um, just Southern rock in general. But I mean, I have very early memories of just like Allman Brothers DVDs just playing nonstop in the house
Nice.
as like background music, but it's just like imprinted on me. So I would say like primarily is probably Greg Allman in terms of vocally. But then anything else you can like blues, um, big into Eric Clapton, any like player, guitar player, um, we were listening to nonstop. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, Allman Brothers, Southern rock, just all of that kind of the vein was the primary, and then you know Motown, Doobie Brothers, Aretha Franklin, all the all the hits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Good taste. Good taste for sure. Um, I'm curious. What if I assume that you've gotten some feedback from fans where you've gone out and played, and somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, whatever." what is it that folks say to you about your sound? When maybe it's the first time they've heard you.
Wow. I mean, a lot of people say I wasn't expecting that, like,
That's good.
which I take as a huge compliment.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, for sure.
I love when people say that. Like, I was not expecting you to sound like that. Um, but yeah, a lot of people. I mean, I get all sorts of stuff. Like, I hear Gavin DeGraw from time to time, depending on like
Yeah.
the age of the person. Um, I've gotten Adam Hood before I knew Adam Hood, just so I can, so we can
That's cool.
keep his name rolling.
Yep. I appreciate that.
That's more so on like comments. That's more so on like comments on TikTok and stuff. Like, this is, very Adam
Yeah.
Hood or whatever. Um, and yeah, nothing like, I mean, I've heard like a Chris Stapleton here and there, but I don't know. That guy's an alien. I don't know if
Yeah,
I
he
can
is.
see that comparison, but
Just
yeah,
take it, smile, and say
he's not
thanks. Right.
totally, yeah.
The follow-up question that I would be in, like in that situation, if someone said, I didn't expect you to sound like that. Like my follow-up question would naturally be, well, what did you think I would sound like? I
Yeah.
know you don't want to
Yeah.
ask that question, but like in my mind, that's what, well, who
Yeah.
was I supposed to sound like?
Yeah, I know. I love it
Mhm.
though. It's hilarious.
Mhm.
So I know you, Alex. I know you mentioned that you were in some bands previous. Did you have any writing that you were doing in that band, or were you strictly a musician, or?
No, in that band I was actually just a front man, just a lead singer.
Oh, okay.
And I wrote 80%, I guess, probably of the songs lyrically.
Yep.
The band would typically, write the music and I would kind of write to that. That was kind of the reverse of the process we talked about earlier, but
Right.
it sort of had to be. But yeah.
And obviously a big decision to step out and do your own thing. How how close do you think you are to kind of finding your sound? I know that's a little bit of an elusive question, but do you feel like this so far what we have is representative of what we may see moving forward?
Yes and no. I mean, um, I certainly have written and am, looking to record some more up tempo, sort of in your face, more so in your face type. Not like rock, but just more up tempo and kind of like
More
more
aggressive?
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, because like I said, the EP is a group of 5 songs that I like. Because these days you can't really, it doesn't make any sense to just release a body of work, really, especially when you're in my position. Um, but yeah, honestly, I was just like, these 5 songs kind of hit me as being like cohesive and telling a story, all encompassing, which that part of the art has kind of gone away.
For sure.
But regardless if I release them as singles or not, that's the way I'm looking at it. They do kind of cohesively tell a story, and that's just where I wanted to start to, again, like, introduce myself to the world, more or
Yeah.
less. So I forgot the question, but did I
That's all
answer
right.
it?
Well, I just, in terms of finding your sound, like I know
Oh,
sometimes when you're in the middle of it, it's hard to know and go, yeah, I think I found my
Mhm.
sound or whatnot. But any kind of,
um, yeah, no. So yes and no. Like, I think I'm relatively aware of my sound, but in terms of like what is coming after the EP, I think will be much different, but in a same relative vein. Um, but I'm not like plateauing, I guess, is what I'm trying to say with
sure.
the,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, that
in
makes
terms
sense. Well,
of,
it's a little bit
yeah,
of it's a
tempo and
journey.
feel and things of that. Yeah, totally.
Gotcha. All right, cool. Well, we're at halftime, Soul Gravy, and
Mhm.
Oh, cool.
we would like to play one of Alex's songs. It's called "Hand Me Down," which is also the title track of the EP that will be coming out this summer. So, Alex, if you don't mind, if we could go silent on this, just hit the little microphone thing. Yeah, sorry.
I was going to say, you mind giving us a little rundown on what this, some information on this song?
Yeah, for sure. So, I was watching the show George and Tammy on Showtime.
Okay. All right.
And George at one point says to her, like in conversation, that's that hand-me-down sadness. In one way or another, he throws that out there. And at the time, my wife was pregnant with our son, and having come from kind of like a family, you know, sort of riddled with mental health issues and addiction and things of that nature, I wrote the song in probably 20 minutes after hearing him say that on the TV, paused it, and I was like, I needed a match to the fire, and I like had it written. I guess subconsciously I'd been thinking about it for a while, but plus her being pregnant, and it got me thinking, like, the idea of the song is to, you know, everyone thinks about what they're going to pass down to their children, and most of the time they're thinking of positive things. So it's sort of like where pessimism meets optimism as it pertains to, like, you know, procreating, I suppose. But yeah, ultimately the hope is that it comes off as hopeful, but also like realistic, I guess.
Understood. Understood. All right, here we go. Alex Rogers, and the song's called Hand Me Down. Here you go.
Well, it's a weight that I can't shake. It follows me like my last name. Tell myself I'm not the same, but I'm just lying to my own face. If ignorance is bliss, why can't I seem to ignore this? This pain that grew up beside me, just as if it's a part of the family. I hope this hand-me-down sadness stops for me. That I'm the last branch affected on my family's tree. Oh, put the weight on me. Let it stop me. When my world starts to fall, I close my eyes and I recall a time that I was a child, oblivious to it all. I finally found some hope, accepting things I can't control. Fighting the good fight for all of us predisposed. I hope this hand-me-down sadness stops me. That I'm the last branch affected on my family's tree. Oh, put the weight on me. Let it stop me. Raising hell to raising babies. When I look down at him, he's oblivious to it all. I hope this hand-me-down sadness
There we go.
Yeah, man. I got there's all kinds of comments
Yes.
digging what you're doing. So very cool.
Oh,
It's
I
good.
appreciate
It's
it.
cool to see the reactions as soon as it comes. You know what I mean? As soon as in real time, and I'm glad that. Thank y'all for listening to Alex's music to start with, but then also, uh, you know, voicing or letting folks know that you dig it. So I don't know how you couldn't.
Yeah, that's
The
awesome.
whole time I'm listening to that though, I'm trying to think like because I mentioned the Adam Hood thing, and then I'm also like I hear like as far as like Zach Wilkerson,
Yeah.
then especially towards the end of it, I'm thinking like other like Courtney Patton, like all these different people. You know what I mean? Like that I could hear harmonies or splitting up a song with him would be absolutely cool. So.
Yeah, great stuff. I mean, after you hear that, you go, okay, I get it now. I understand why all these folks ran to
Yeah.
Alex's page and hit the follow button. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I
so
appreciate that.
I gotta ask, when you were doing all the band stuff and even the cover gigs back in the day, what were some stuff you were covering? Because I mean, that's your voice
Oh
is
man.
different in a great way. So than the traditional bar
Oh
band kind of thing. So what was some songs you were
y-
covering?
yeah. Wow. Wow. I'm gonna have to pull it up. Let's see. Definitely like Black
Okay.
Crows. We did some Allman
Okay.
Brothers. Um, it was all over the place. Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Okay, so it
Um,
wasn't just geared towards your vocal style. You were making it fit whatever you wanted to.
totally. Yeah. We were
Okay,
doing our version of a lot of stuff.
that's cool.
Yeah. I wish I could. It's been so long. I can't even think of a set list at the moment. But um, yeah, Come and Get Your Love. We did some Sly and the Family Stone.
Okay,
Yeah, we
Nice.
were all over the place. We all had totally different tastes, but we kind of just made it work.
well, that's the fun part about doing stuff like that.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime you can add a rock song or a Chili Pepper song with Sly and the Family Stone and then some Southern rock song, that sounds like a great time for somebody like me anyway. So
It does.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. At least for us. It seemed like other people were enjoying it too.
Yeah, that's good. Was that a wood block at the beginning?
That was.
I was trying to figure out what that was, and I get like the good earphones in. And I was like, oh, I didn't hear that the first time I listened on my
I
phone.
feel like that's just like a regular cowbell.
Oh, okay. All right, like a
Like
muted
maybe
cowbell or
I
something.
think he was holding it. Yeah. I think he was muting it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Trying to remember.
Yeah, that's a cool sound. I don't know why I didn't hear. I like to try to dial in on those things the first time I hear it, but I've heard that song
mhm.
a few times now. So, but when I have the good headphones in, I get to hear all kinds of cool stuff that I don't normally get. So,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
curious about any short term, well, just goals in general, but any goals that you have kind of set out for yourself, maybe this year, and then beyond that, any goals that things that you want to knock off the list or accomplish down the road.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I want to continue writing as much as possible, particularly like honing the skill of co-writing and kind of getting my footing in terms of um, who and where my people are, so to speak. Um, Definitely, I'd love to start getting into some collaborations as well. Um, if nothing else, just for the experience and to kind of like expand my horizons and fan base and things of that nature too. Um, but ultimately, just to play as much as humanly possible. Get as front of as many ears and eyes as I can. Um, Sort of started ramping up, you know, already for this year. Um, just kind of finalizing some dates and all of that. But
Nice.
ultimately, yeah, just keep at it. I hope to get back in the studio as well. probably summer-ish.
Okay.
To kind of keep the train rolling. Probably before that, honestly, because I'd like to do that prior to the full EP being released. Um, yeah, just stay busy as humanly possible.
Cool.
Are you going to be doing the full band shows or mostly acoustic shows, or is it all over the place?
It's all over the place, just depending on what it is.
Right.
I do a lot of duo stuff. I do a lot of writers rounds. I love that setting. Just I love the full band thing. Like that's probably my favorite outlet in terms of performance. But I do love the
Right.
songwriter rounds and like kind of solo acoustic type stuff, just so I can like explain like the outlet to be that intimate and to be able to explain, kind of the thoughts behind the songs is so cool to me. It always has been. But now especially, getting able to do it myself, being able to do it myself. So, um, yeah, any and all, but
Understood.
nothing, yeah.
Yeah. Um, so you mentioned earlier you were talking about you kind of went into this music thing backwards as far as the fact of you were already working the 9 to 5, got a small family, all that kind of stuff, and then you decided to kind of hop into the music thing. Uh, um, how did you know that that was the time to do that? I'm sure that is an extremely nerve-wracking thing to make that decision, especially after having the family.
Yeah, I don't have a firm explanation for it, honestly, but I will say when my son was born, it like sparked a little something in me to where I felt like I had to at least have music out there. Um, so that he, at minimum, he could go back and reference something. Um, as opposed to me talking about it and telling stories and what could have been and all of that stuff. Um, yeah, pretty crazy, honestly. Like I said, it truly is like a reverse of the majority of people I'm sure you talk to. Um, but I don't know. It just hit me. I was like, I
There's
gotta.
there's quite a bit more than you would think,
Yeah,
really,
for
or that
sure.
we've
Okay.
talked to. I mean, there's folks that
Okay.
that that
Everybody's got
taught,
their own story, but yeah.
yeah, that taught school for
For
20
sure.
years and then started going, then started playing and just all different kinds of stuff. So
Yeah, Jason Eady's
Yeah.
a good
Yeah.
example of that, right?
yeah, yeah, Edie in the military for years
Yeah.
and then come back out and got a real job and then decided to do the music. And Charlie Argo is another
Yeah.
friend of the
Oh yeah.
pod that all,
Okay.
yeah, just it is a lot more common than you would suspect, that they're not all 17 and
Yeah.
dreaming of moving to Nashville and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah. Well, that's good to hear.
mhm.
Alex, I know obviously you're not new to music or the music business, but having a new solo career, I'm sure there are folks out there that are giving you advice. So I want to know, what's the best advice you've been given so far, and then what's the worst advice you've been given?
Oh boy.
You don't have to tell us who gave it, but if you could tell us
Yeah.
the,
Oh man. Um, I guess like best advice is either like it's probably just like don't be afraid to approach people, whether you think like they're way further along in their career or whatever, more well known. Whether it's to write with you or to simply just talk to you or like, have some sort of mentorship relationship. Like just don't be afraid to put yourself out there.
yeah,
Um, I mean that's kind of worldwide ubiquitous advice maybe, but specific to the music industry, I feel like it's super helpful. Um, Man, I don't know about bad. I don't know. I don't
All right.
know. Maybe I've blocked it all out, but
Well,
um,
it will
at this
happen.
point, maybe I'm lucky. Yeah, maybe I'm just
So just
lucky so far.
yeah, hold on to that. We'll come back to you because it will happen. It's just a matter of time. So
Okay. Yeah.
When the full length album comes out, in a while, we'll get back we'll readdress that question.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, man. Well, and I guess you mentioned the hood thing earlier, and then you just said that don't be afraid to talk to somebody and things like that. I'm sure, by all accounts, he's one of those guys. Once you started talking to him, you know, you realize that you can talk to folks like that. So
Oh yeah, 100%.
he's
Yeah,
probably the
just like
perfect example of that situation for sure.
totally. Yeah, he was super gracious. You know, with his time and everything else. He stopped by and caught one of my sets even. So he's uh he's a good dude.
Well, I've got. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Soul.
No, I was just gonna say we've heard that a few times. So
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he's our ambassador.
Except for that
Um,
Edie guy, he had a lot of crap to say about him, right?
right. We have some what we call rapid fire questions that we want to ask, but before we get to those, I'm curious how we touched on this a little bit, but well, first off, let me back up. You've got a single coming out on the 14th, so or is it the 14th
We
or later
haven't
in
nailed down a
February?
date.
Okay,
Yeah.
so sometime in
By
February.
the end of February. I'm just trying to lock it in.
So let us know when that gets up, and we'll spread the word on pre-saves and whatnot. And obviously excited to having based upon the two that we've heard, we're super excited to hear number 3, 4, and 5 and beyond.
Yeah.
But the question I wanted to ask is, I went through because there wasn't a ton of info out there that I could readily find about you, and I feel kind of naked not having a ton of research because I like digging in and learning about folks. But on your socials, very heavy on performance, like playing videos, and there's not a ton of, I don't know, I wouldn't call it fluff, but sometimes folks are trying to oil the machine a little bit and just putting out
Sure.
all kinds of content. You seem to be pretty selective with what you're doing on your socials content. Do you have like a strategy or anything in place to make sure that gets accomplished?
I do not, but I need to, for sure.
Just curious.
That is not that is
That's a
definitely
common
not
answer
something.
too.
Yeah, that is not something that I'm like that is natural to me, I'd say.
Sure, I don't think it is for anybody.
Like sure. I mean, I can record myself playing guitar and singing forever. I mean, I find that fun at minimum. But when it comes to all the fluff, yeah, I think that's a good word for it, honestly. I try to avoid that. I try to like post things that I feel like matter. Um, but yes, to your point, I do. That's kind of on the 2025 to-do list as well. At least like get someone else involved that can kind of manage a calendar and a schedule in terms of when things should be posted and all that. But
that makes sense.
that's it. Yeah, it doesn't come to me naturally for sure. It's not top of mind.
I get that. Are there any of the platforms that you kind of prefer over another, or is that something you spend any time thinking about, or places where you feel like, oh, I seem to get better traction here? Or
Yeah, I mean, Instagram for sure is like the most traction I get, most feedback and all of that. Yeah, definitely. I
Okay.
only basically post on that and TikTok, so
Okay.
but between the two, and I have some stuff on YouTube. I need to get better about YouTube, but um yeah, Instagram's definitely like number one in terms of interaction thus far.
All right, cool. Well, if Soul, if you're good, we'll go ahead and start with the rapid fire.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
All right, buckle up.
Uh-oh.
Here are your questions. Alex, Spotify Wrapped came out about a little over 30 days ago. Any idea whether it's Spotify or Apple, but who were your top folks that you happen to be listening to?
Oh God. So I know Pony Bradshaw was on there. I was on a huge kick
Yeah.
this year. Um, I imagine Zach Top was on there. He definitely was. Um, oh, I also have a 2-year-old, so who knows what really was
The
on there?
Wiggles.
'Cause, you play the same
Bluey.
song over and over. Um, I'll stick with those two. Those two were for sure on there, but the rest is a blur.
My Labrador likes Bluey, so whatever.
Oh,
It
nice.
is what it
Yeah.
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. They get hooked on a song, man, and you just gotta
Yep.
play it over and over. So
totally. Desert Island album. So you get one album. You're stranded on a desert island. What album are you taking with you?
okay, I gotta go with Allman Brothers. Uh Probably Eat a Peach, the
Solid.
deluxe one, the double. Yeah.
It's
You
got
need as much content as music wise as possible if you're going to be on that
Right,
island.
right.
Well, right. I'm with you.
Yeah, that's correct.
I think one of them has like a 13 or 14-minute instrumental on it, doesn't it? Eat a Peach, doesn't it? I could be wrong.
Yeah.
In my head, I think there's a super long instrumental on there. So
Yeah, I
that
know
makes
Whipping
sense.
Post always gets kind of crazy. But they have so many albums, I don't know which version is which.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we probably should consider doing Eat a Peach on Earwax if we haven't already.
We have not, and I got it. So
All right, cool.
Yep.
All right, dinner with one historical figure, Alex.
Is that just general or like music?
Oh, it can be whatever. It could be musical. It could be whatever. Just somebody historical.
Okay.
They don't have to be here. They could be past.
Okay. Um, I'll go with. I'm gonna go with Winston Churchill. I think, just based on his writing.
Yeah.
I'd like to
That's a-
hear. I'd like to hear what kind of stuff comes out of his mouth in a casual conversation.
Well, I think he had quite a tongue on him, from what I understand. So yeah, that would be fun. Ideal green room. What's in your ideal green room? What's it look like?
Oh man. I don't really have an example. I suppose just comfortable, Miller Lite. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of a roamer anyway, so like even when I do play and there's a green room, I'm like walking around. I don't know if it's nervous energy or what, but I don't
Need
spend a
some
lot of
space.
time like yeah, I don't spend a lot of time like sitting and chilling beforehand, but afterwards would be cool.
That's
gotcha.
pretty laid back. First concert that you attended. Also, first concert that you paid for. It can be the same one or it can be different.
Okay, definitely different. I'm gonna. I always get these confused because I feel like I was like 5 or 6, but
Yeah.
it first one was either Eric Clapton or
wow.
Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. They were within like a month of each other, I want to say, because I remember being like, "Oh, we're back at this theater."
Props to you, Dad, for taking them. Yeah.
No
Yeah,
joke. I want to.
yeah.
I want to live where you lived.
Yeah, we were in
pretty-
Atlanta at
pretty
the
solid.
time, so
Okay. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
well done.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. And then first one I paid for, God only knows. I know for a fact it was at the House of Blues in Myrtle Beach because I went to basically everything that came through there. I'm gonna say it was probably like an emo, like a yellow card or something like that. Because
Okay.
that would have been the first time I was like driving and buying stuff.
Right.
It would have been that in that era.
Yeah. Well, that's the point of that question for sure.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
man, I got to tell this story really, really quick because it's not part of the rapid fire. But
Okay.
I took my wife to Myrtle Beach. We went to go play golf. We hadn't been married too long. This is several years ago. And one night only, Van Halen at at the place you just said,
Yeah, House of Blues.
House of Blues,
Yeah.
right on Myrtle Beach, and it
Yeah.
wasn't. So it was 3/4 of Van Halen. They were breaking in the guy from Extreme. This would have been in
Okay.
between Hagar and David Lee Roth. So anyway,
Okay.
we went. And it's not that big a venue, so it was wild.
Uh-uh.
I mean, it was like Van Halen, which is kind of a big deal at the time. So, but they
Totally.
were kind of in a rocky point of their evolution or whatever. But it was still awesome. We had a great time and just like wouldn't have stopped, but it was flashing on the sign one night, and I thought it was like Van Halen experience or like something, but it was actually Van
Tribute.
Halen, which is it was pretty cool. So since
Yeah,
we're on
that's
tribute
incredible.
bands, I feel like I need to ask that yay or nay on tribute bands, Alex.
I guess generally I would say nay. I mean, I'm sure there's some worth seeing, but I've never seen it come up on like an upcoming show and bought a ticket for any of
Yeah,
them.
that's fair.
But yeah, it's it's an interesting way to do it,
Yeah,
I guess,
for sure.
But if you got something that if you got something that you can emulate somebody to a T, why not?
All right, cool. My last rapid fire question is Clemson or South Carolina?
Oh, Clemson. 100%.
Clemson.
I
All
went
right.
to Clemson. So,
Oh, all right. Well,
Yeah.
that makes it easy. Yeah. All right. Well, go Clemson. All right.
yeah.
Our most important question of the evening is coming up, so hopefully you've prepared
All right.
for it. But if you haven't, it's all right.
No, I think he'll do fine. All right, Alex. This question was a joke on episode number 1, and now it is a requirement that we ask this question. People send mean comments if I don't ask this question. So, Alex,
Okay.
what is your favorite Little Debbie snack?
Oh my God.
I
Let's
know,
see.
tough hitting
Yeah,
things we do here.
I'm not a sweet eater, but I'll have to go cosmic brownie. I've definitely put some of those down in my day.
Okay. Huh?
Solid.
We've had quite a few of those.
Yeah. Well done. Well,
I'm
folks.
glad I'm not alone.
Yeah.
You are
No,
not
you are
alone.
definitely not alone. Folks, we appreciate you joining us tonight. But if you don't already follow Alex wherever you stream music, please do. Alex Rogers. And follow wherever you stream. He's got new stuff coming out. Pre-save it when that comes out. All that stuff's really important. And as you know, we say it every time because it is important. But thank you so much for joining us tonight. And it was great getting to chat with you, Alex.
Yeah, I appreciate it, fellas. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, just gotta say, man, as far as I would be curious to have this conversation in a year to see where this is. I don't know. It's just. I mean, I didn't know you when I was listening to it, and it felt authentic and great stuff. I mean, no joke. So.
Yeah.
I hope
I
people
appreciate
continue to dig into it and give you the listens, because it's definitely, he's got quality music, guys. I mean, that's so yeah. So go give it a listen, give it a shot, because you won't be disappointed.
Absolutely. And Alex,
appreciate
don't forget to take my call next year, okay?
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's pull out the calendar.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, y'all. Thanks for joining us tonight. Y'all have a good evening.